All right, Mopar people, welcome back to the channel. I'm just Mopar Joe. I was digging through some of my old files, and it was at Kuntz & Company in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. So Mopar Jeff 604 knew I was bringing that engine to the dyno. He said, hey, I'll send you one of my Fram HP oil filters if you'll screw it on there and pour a quart of oil in and try it. Let's just see whose filter's better. Traditionally, I use Wick stuff. If you can't find Wicks, maybe you can get a Napa. I heard Napa's made by Wicks. That's a whole different thing. So I had basically had the plain Jane black Wicks 515, whatever that is, filter on the engine. We did all of our passes throughout the day. We compared, you'll have to go back and see that dyno video. We compared his 750 AED carburetor that they made him. See, I like AED stuff. We compared that to the tapered spacer, and then we compared it to a 1050 Dominator, an old one that I had here. And that 750 actually worked better on that engine. So we left that carburetor totally alone without the spacer on it for this test. So I'm using the data. I'm going to show you Aaron breaking down the data real quick. The first one is our 750 AED pulls without the spacer. It'll be on the far left-hand side of the screen as you're watching. And the Wicks filter that it came in there with, okay? So I used that data, and then the data I got from the Fram HP filter, I used all three of those, and I chose the highest numbers from the Fram HP filter. So if at 3,800 RPM on one sheet it said 499 or whatever, and the next one said 498, I used the higher figure. I tried to give the Fram filter the biggest advantage possible that I could, and knowing that, you know, Aaron had to ramp the dyno in, we had to get the engine heated back up, but literally we walked over, unscrewed a filter, screwed the new one on, okay, and poured a quart of oil in. Ran the engine, let it warm back up to temperature, and he made 3 pulls, okay? I used that data. It is what it is. I would like for us to have an intelligent conversation about it in the comments of this video. Why the results? I don't know, but you're gonna see a clear winner, and I even broke it down. I have the figures side by side so we can see those as well. And we'll go through that stuff. Here's the test.
7 versus 81, 79 versus 73, 80 versus 63. You know, if you average it, it's probably 5 foot-pounds. This thing's probably 5 foot-pounds better across the board.
And there we are. Our best peak was 750 with the spacer, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. You picked up, yeah.
On the torque.
Yeah. 81, 73, 80, 76. That's a pretty nice curve there. This was a little more erratic over here. You can tell it's not as happy. It's bouncing around. We got a 579, but that's an anomaly number because you got a 57 and a 63 on both sides of it. You got a 68 here, 78. So it just seems like the Dominator actually moved the peak torque up. Looks like about a couple hundred RPMs, believe it or not. Usually that requires an intake manifold or a cam chain.
There you go.
Shove that fuel down there.
We're going to do a simple oil filter test here. And we've got 3 back-to-back pulls. This is Aaron. Aaron is our dyno man. And we're looking for consistent oil pressure across all 3 pulls. And Mopar Jeff 604 thinks that this Fram racing filter might pick up a little power somehow. So we're going to see if that's a thing or if it's not a thing. See our first pull, that shiny orange oil filter on there.
just a touch warmer on this filter than with the other one. Pretty close, 73.4 and we were 73, yeah, we're pretty close. That'll be a good comparison test. I mean, I'd average all three of those, just take, take the whole thing, put them all on a spreadsheet, average them, and use that number as a comparative number.
So here's our results side by side, okay? And again, I took the best Fram number from all three pools. So if you see, example, 499, if it was on one sheet in the earlier video that I zoomed in on, I used it. So some of those, I think he says you can kind of throw out. So if you got a number there that shows 532 and it's between a lower number on both sides, that 530, it didn't just randomly spike and peak for a second. They usually throw those out or smooth them in, average them in. I did actually make a better smooth curve here so you can see everything. But as far as our chart goes, I think I can believe this data. So the Fram wins from 3,800 to 4,200 with me using its best numbers possible by 4 to 7 numbers. And I say 4 to 7, that means 4 to 7 horse and 4 to 7 foot-pounds in that situation. So for just a 400 RPM span, and a lot of people, if he started the pull at 3,800, they would even throw away that first number because the dyno is just waking up and starting to recognize and record data, okay? But from 4,300 to 5,100, the Wix is the winner. And the majority of those are by 2 to 4 horsepower. And in my mind, maybe an oil filter could gain you 2 to 4 horsepower. But you can see them there. There was one, I think, that shows like 12 horsepower increase or 12 foot-pound increase. I don't really believe that one. I think we could probably throw that data away. But 2 to 4 is believable. Then it swaps back for just a second from 4,900 to 5,100, and our numbers, they flop again. So we go 1 to 3 horse and torque back to the Fram HP, okay? But lastly, and probably this is what most drag racers would look at and think, oh, yep, here's my answer, here's what I wanted. The Wix wins from 5,500 and beyond. So this engine was peaking out probably around 6,000 or 5,900 or something. So we just stopped pulling over and over and over to a higher RPM. But the Wix wins there 3 to 5 numbers basically everywhere in that 700 RPM range. And I'm assuming it would keep on winning if you had an engine that ran to 7,000 or whatever. You would be gaining that 5 extra horse, 3 to 5 extra horse in that RPM range. Now, back to real life. Would you even notice that difference? Probably not. Can you even trust my data and my dyno stuff? I do. I believe it, but you don't have to. I think they did a similar test on Engine Master, so go check out their video and see what they came up with. But I can tell you on this day in 2024, the Wix won in my book. So I appreciate y'all watching. It was a fun little test. I'm glad I dug it up. Mopar Jeff 604, thanks for sending me that filter. I've been owing you a video for a while, so thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch you next time. All right, Mopar people.